Welcome to Detangle, where we untangle the complexities of life, one conversation at a time. I'm your host, Dr. Kinjal Goel, a psychologist and a writer. I'm honored to welcome on my show today someone who can take my hand and lead me into the magical world of art, Mr. Bose Krishnamachari. As the founder of the Kochi Biennale and as an artist himself, Mr. Bose has decades of experience curating art for beginners like most of us and for the connoisseurs and patrons who are deeply in love with all things beautiful. With a master's degree in fine arts from London, Mr. Bose is here to talk about the psychology that plays gently into the field of art and the role of the mind through the generations of art appreciation. Welcome, Mr. Bose, and thank you so much for joining me on Detangle today.
Thank you, Dr. Kinjal. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this conversation.
Sir, there's so much that I need to learn from you. There's so much that I want to ask you. I'm sure 30, 40 minutes is not going to suffice everything that I want to know, but let's take a shot at it. So,
Let's try.
sir, I know about your college education. You have done your master's in fine arts, you have done your bachelor's before that from Bombay. But tell me, as a student, as a young child, were you always drawn towards the arts?
Every child has this kind of talent, but nobody really recognized or encouraged them to go ahead with the talent of creativity. Creativity is when I talk about creativity, it's like music, like acting, you know, not only painting and sculpting and whatever, but like nobody really encouraged children into the field of creative art. I was quite good at it. From childhood, I used to draw like many other children. I used to draw, but copying. Early as every child, they try to copy. But I think we should discourage copying things. We should tell them to look at the actual and ask them to draw from their art making. That's more important. I feel the copying is never give them a kind of confidence. Of course, you can maybe look-alike things can be created. Yeah,
Has there ever been a moment which was so inspiring that it made you realize that this was your calling as a profession?
and I believe in chance. I believe in destiny. I never thought I'll become an artist. Really, in fact, I wanted to be a doctor. I
Really?
wanted to be a medical doctor. So I took science as my pre-university studies. Um, in the age of 17, I fell ill for a long time. That's the time things changed. In between, I was in coma,
Oh,
puked blood, etc., etc. It was not so good. 4 or 5 years of my youth is gone into hospital life. But that's the time in between period. I used to do theater. I used to read a lot, get to know about, try to know about music, and also gone to join a private art school. So that's the way it was gone, and then again there was an award I received in 1985
hmm.
from the Kerala Electrical Academy, which was the highest order of award supposed to be. And in that moment, one of my friends sent me a prospectus from the Sir J.J. School of Art. That has changed my life. I came down to Mumbai since '85. I live. It's like Mumbai has given me everything in that sense. From that moment, kept on working. I haven't received. I mean, haven't got my admission in '85, but I stayed back in a place called Sakinaka.
Hmm.
And that Sakinaka place was kind of chawl. So it's like 8 to 10 people, working class. I lived with them, and I used to do portraits of people. That was those period. That was my, you know, I won't say salary, but that money given me so much confidence to continue my practice. So then next year I joined JJ, and that was not so easy. Everything was kind of you had to play certain games, get into there because it's like regionalism was in in a kind of really taking over Mumbai. Yeah, so there is kind of always art, and artist career and life has changed when the political changes happen in the country, or kind of liberalization happens to a country. All these moments, things meant to change, and it will change. Um, the thinking of artists, practice, and everything will change according to the social um, changes as well as political shift.
This is such a new perspective because as lay people, as people who are not artists, most people believe that art is more of talent, it is more of giving your inspiration some space to breathe. But there's so much hard work, there is so much technique, there is so much learning involved. And like you said, so many influences come into an artist's life also.
Yeah. I want inspiration should be taken from time to time.
Right.
Time to time, we tend to change our perception as well. Like maybe early years of your career, you would have heard of Van Gogh and Rembrandt or Raja Ravi Verma, things like that. You will change. Definitely, you will keep changing time to time. That has also happened to me as well, and many other students and artists I have seen. Yeah, so definitely that historical awareness of art making and art learning has changed time to time. Yeah.
So I think, sir, also from an outsider's perspective into this field, art has been one of the most fluid things that we've had as generations. Like you said, if we look back, so many different things were appreciated through the generations. People's perceptions have changed, representation has changed. But what do you think makes art so fluid? Some things are ever changing, some things are never changing.
As Indian philosophy says that, nothing is dying in a way, it is transforming into something else. I believe that same thing. I believe that, like if somebody says in 1840, painting is dead, when this photography was invented, this French artist said that painting is dead.
Hmm.
No, like even if you take internet is been invented, and many other technological development have happened, robotics, and all that is happening in our time. Art is also adopted, or realized the importance of participating or collaborating with the science and technology. So it's like from etching or printmaking to, or rock painting to technology, AI work, you can see that everything will take its own time to accept it. But like earlier, photography wasn't accepted by the art world, but now it's like photography is one of the most important part of art making, and the similarly video art or performance art, all that is time to time. I'm sure the new world is with more fluid in the sense, like if something is static, something is permanent, it cannot be changed. Like it's in architecture, you would say that the structure cannot be changed, but you can change the colors of the periphery, you can always change. But the content also, you know, will change with the time. I think it is important for an artist. Like I believe in fluid architecture. I believe in fluid art making as well. I mean, like a fluid way of looking at things. I mean, really, really, if I'm not obsessed by somebody is obsessed by something, then you can say that it's done with it. You won't be able to make anything after that. And obsession is also one of my way of, like as you're a psychology, you would know once you're obsessed with something.
Hmm.
um, if you are a lover, you start saying lies to your parents, your daughter, to anybody. It's like that kind of stuff. Once you're obsessed with the architecture or art or theater, I am, I wanted to say that we cannot work in silos. You cannot be just in silos to think about your liking. I think you need to know about other art forms as well. Then you can grow faster.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it is open. Your mind is open. Then you can, look at other practices like other people's work and things like that. You can also ask questions once you are fluid. If you are stubborn about your belief, it is, it's, that's a death of it. That's a kind of thing I would say.
Right. So, also now, when we talk about buying art, I have seen a lot of people invest a lot of money into art without any understanding at the beginning. But eventually, most people learn to appreciate, they learn to understand, and some of them will truly fall in love. Do you
Yeah.
feel, through your experience, does art have a way of nudging its way into our lives?
Absolutely. I believe that, things can change through looking at art. And buying is a kind of material world. Of course, there are emotions are touched with it. Sometimes if people say that I didn't understand it and I didn't like it, that is one of the reasons they don't buy it.
Hmm.
But I think like art is like a human. Like suppose you say that your name to me. Like for example, if I'm meeting somebody, I'll ask what's your name, and I get to know Dr. Kinjal, right? But
Hmm.
I don't know if you really wanted to know about Kinjal, I need to spend time with Kinjal to share thoughts,
Right.
uh, maybe travel, whatever. So I think, art is also like that. If you really want to know that, you spend a little bit of time with that, different galleries, gallery visits, exhibitions visits. But also it is important that, you edit in your mind, like it's like you have, all the informations are in internet, and like you get to know from Google. Yeah.
Right.
But that, yeah, as Einstein mentioned that, information is not knowledge. You have to, from the information, you need to develop it. For that reason, if you want to be an art collector, art connoisseur, definitely you need to travel and see art fairs, biennales, triennales, documenta, exhibition spaces. And also I think it is important to know which are the galleries are representing good artworks. There is good and bad, definitely. How do you read it? It is like some of the galleries are only interested in the commercial aspect of it. Some of the art galleries are very much interested in the politics of time, and exploring and finding new art forms and new artist perspective would like to show by art galleries. These art galleries, you can make out, like how many art galleries are part of art fairs. Like the best art fair is known as Basel in Switzerland.
Hmm.
And like Hong Kong, Basel, there is, recently they have started, couple of years ago they have started in Paris, and then Frieze Art Fair in London, Frieze New York, Frieze Los Angeles, Frieze Seoul. All these places, they have been. India got an art fair called India Art Fair, and the second one recently started in Mumbai called Mumbai um, Art Fair. So these there are many verticals in art world also need to be known by. I mean, like, really wanted to be a collector, really want to be an artist, you need to know what are the kind of verticals part of, or I won't say vertical, you can say that, beads in a festoon, that kind of thing. So there are, art institutions are part of it, art art cafes are part of it, auction houses are part of it. Then museums, institutions, patrons, collectors, um, pedagogues. There's so many layers to
Right.
it. So
But
if
sir, are
you're,
these these art appreciation courses that we see, the
Mhm,
shortcuts to understanding art,
mhm.
do you recommend those? Are these good for people who are just beginning their journey into the art world?
There also, like who is teaching, who is
Mm-hmm.
sharing, that is also important, like some people, I mean, there are educational institutions, there is Sotheby's, Christie's, and then, I mean, these are auction companies, and, so there are a lot of institutions. I would say that it's the best of learning about art would be being with the master of art, like an artist himself or
Mm-hmm.
herself. Spend a lot of time with, for example, Nalini Malani in Mumbai, or time spent by with Sudarshan Shetty in Mumbai, or Atul Dodia. There are a lot of young artists, got largest studio spaces. Some people love to share their thoughts. Some artists, they don't like to share it. They consider it as a kind of personal space. But I would say that you really wanted to know about, as a collector, there was some wonderful people used to visit my studio.
Hmm.
So they used to spend a lot of time listening to your thinking, and as well as practice what kind of how it has been made and things like that. And early years, when I was studying in JJ School of Arts, our studio spaces, artist studio spaces, were very small. Like everybody used to work in smaller flats, or like if you wanted to sculpt something, you come, give it to somebody else and create it in outside spaces, right? And now there are few artists got really good spaces, art studio spaces. You can find it in Mumbai. I think it is very important to have a little bit of time with these artists, and also there is a Mumbai Art Week is happening, for example, like or Thursday weekend they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Those moments, for students, art lovers must visit to gallery spaces, which gives you confidence, a little bit of more information. For students, I would say, I used to go to Jahangir Art Gallery, and like in my time, and that is in the 80s, mid 80s onwards,
Mm-hmm.
there was only three small galleries existed in Mumbai, and I'm talking about the professional spaces like
Right.
Gallery 7 was used to have a small place above. There was a bookshop called a Strand Bookshop in Fort area.
Mm-hmm.
There is the Fort area. Another gallery was called Pandol, and the longest run gallery is called Kemol. Used to have a very small place, a mezzanine space in Jahangir Gallery itself.
Hmm.
And Simrosa is far, I mean, like it's in Bridge Candy. So these four places in Mumbai used to show artwork. Early, historically, of course, there was a gallery existed in Malabar Hill. It was started by an artist called Bal Chabda. But I haven't seen those things. I spent a lot of time with Bal Chabda, and these are the things, maybe given me so much of confidence or awareness about what is happening in our schools or practices. To spend a lot of time with all artists, most of the artist studio I used to visit, Mele Gopai, Giv Patel, Prabhagar Barve, Prabhagar Kolte,
Mm-hmm.
Lakshman Shrestha, Atul Dodia, Anju Dodia, Sudarshan Shetty, Sunil Gowde. You can take those period of time. Like now there are a lot of young generation of practice.
Right. So, moving on to our next question. In all your years of experience, what is that one mistake that most people make when it comes to buying or selling art?
I think don't get into this. Don't buy things somebody else is liking. For example, when you go to someone's house, you find, oh, this is so and so's work. I would like to have something like this. That's the kind of that there you failed to find your own taste. Maybe you don't look at the names while you're buying it. I think it is important you find your own taste. That it will take time, but it is, you can start from small, but you can take it in a different level. I was reading about Kiran Nadar's one of the biggest collector in India. She used to
Mhm.
collect MF Hussain, and MF Hussain also used to, I think, share lots of thoughts with her. Later, now she got her own advices. Their advisors are all experienced people, so that's also given a kind of. And also, she's an avid collector. She goes to each and every important shows, try to see everything maximum, looking at things. I'm also the same way. I think in younger collectors also, I feel it is important to go and see quite a lot of. Sometimes the intuitions play an important role. You don't need to necessarily understand everything of an artwork to buy it. If you
Right.
know everything, then there is no point in buying it, I would say.
Yeah, you have to discover it
Yeah, I
eventually.
think like every time when you look at your collection, you feel that, oh, this is still fresh. Fresh. Why you feel fresh? Because you find something else in within work itself. So you can. I think keep growing is important with that. So um, don't jump into friends say that this artist are good, this artist is that if an experienced gallerist is say that uh, years of experience, um, you should take their advice. I used to go to Jahangir Art Gallery often, like when I
Mhm.
was a student 3 years onwards, and I used to tell all my friends how not to put up a show is I
Hmm.
learned it from Jahangir Art Gallery.
Really?
uh, how not to put up. In the same way, I think, collecting is also a kind of editing. Really,
Right.
really, your mind needs to be really observed about things, and then there will be a kind of intuitions comes in. Intuition is a kind of process. Like if you really gone through many process of art making or art learning, definitely that will work. Or a dog psychologist like you've been experiencing, you having a lot of conversations. From conversations, you definitely learn, right?
True.
Def-
So I love this idea of you saying that intuition is a honed skill. It
yeah,
just becomes so subconscious that you call it intuition,
yeah,
but it's a lot of data that you've collected over time.
right, absolutely. You put it very well. Yeah, I think that's a right way to see it. Yeah.
That's wonderful, sir. So, while you were starting off in your career, I'm sure you made things as mistakes, you would call them, or maybe some regrets that you have later. Is there any piece of advice you wish that somebody had given you early on?
No, see, I used to see lots of talented people around me. My uncle, my younger brother, cousin brothers, sisters. Everybody had talent, something or the other, but nobody really given them any advice where to go. While I was studying, also nobody used to tell me, "Boss, you should go to JJ School of Art, or Cal Arts, or Art Institute of Chicago, Goldsmiths College." Nobody used to tell me. Now
Acha.
everybody can Google it and see which one is the best. But those days, I found my path. Um, that maybe I must have made a mistake, but I have no regrets. Because I found my path. With,
How
of
beautiful.
course, lots of my um, people were open to listen to me, or I had time with all great minds, in like whether it is filmmakers or theater people or musicians or writers, artists, all they have given me time to spend. So that I went to Film Institute for Film Appreciation course. That 1 month is was enlightening. So I think it is important that wherever you born, I would say to people that move away from wherever you born. You move away at least for 200 kilometer or 100 kilometer from there, and then you look back or check it out. You would definitely like your origin. I think,
So,
that's,
sir, in psychology, we have a very important analogy in art. They say that if you're standing next to a painting or in front of a painting,
yeah,
with your nose touching the painting,
yeah,
you will see a very small part of it.
yeah,
But like you said, if you move away, you're saying 100 kilometers in psychology, we'll say move 10 steps behind
yeah.
and then see the painting, you'll see a much clearer picture. So that's what I'm getting from you, that when you move away, your picture improves.
Definitely, definitely. I do agree, absolutely agree on this. I think it is important, like I used to see this, lots of people make mistake, like while drawing also. I would say that, just give up for some time and come back and make it. Things will be
Hmm.
fine. I think, giving space is important. And, like when I like to go back to that obsessive nature of people. This is the same thing I would tell people that, if you're obsessed with art, you won't make any kind of good art. You love art is fine. Keep distance from whatever you love it. And as you said, like it's like you keep 10 feet away from whatever you like it. You can have a better view, whether it is a beautiful flower or a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. You need to have a little bit of space. If you're
Well,
obsessed with your, even love, there won't be any kind of space. You won't invent anything new. Like a successful life, I find it, you should be able to give surprises to your partner, or you should give surprises to your surrounding. Then you are new every day. That kind of thing, how you can achieve in art is also important. I think, surprise is not magic is, a technique which you understand, then that magic is gone.
true.
Surprise is like eureka. You are inventing every moment, every time. So I don't know how to speak, but like while I'm talking to you, Dr. Kinjal, I just improvise it. So that improvisation is also comes through the practice of sharing.
True.
Once you share it, you become light.
But I can experience this with you in real time right now. When our conversation started, we were doing more of an understanding of each other. But as we went into the questions, I'm so immersed in what you have experienced as an artist, as an art curator. Suddenly, I have so many answers, but I have so many more questions for you. So let me get into a personal question now. So this is a question I ask all my podcast guests.
Mm,
So, we all have a physical first aid box in the house, some band-aids, some antiseptic, just for those minor cuts and bruises.
mm.
But I ask my guests that supposing you were to keep a mental first aid box, supposing you've had a bad day and you want to come back and feel better, is there a box you can keep which immediately makes you happy? And if you were to have such a box, what would you put in it?
Oh my.
You personally.
Uh, that's a difficult one. But like a great friend, your partner should be the right one. A partner
Hmm.
can, that may be your children, it may be your, uh, but I think, sharing whom you can share your problems with, happiness with. Problem and happiness, I think it is equal to me, in the sense it's important that whom you can really share and, get you kind of right answer. There is nothing called right, always you, um, and I would say that I don't know answer for this, actually it's a beautiful question, but
Hmm. I
there's
hope you
no
think
answer.
about it though. I hope my podcast leaves you with that space where you actually get a box and you think about what you're going to put inside it.
Yeah,
It might turn out to be
you
something
have
beautiful.
sent me the question, but I haven't. I think it is not. Um, you you don't need to have an answer to it. I think that's also an important thing.
True. The question is
You
enough.
find it on that moment. Your mind is like that. People, all the trouble. Sometime, like when the chaos happens, you know how to make it in order. That's a talent, you know. An artist and a madman. The difference is only the thing is artists can channelize their mind. Otherwise, they are crazy. All the artists got too many ideas. You know, once you are in that chaos, you are lost, right?
Hmm.
So, as a psychologist, you would know better than me, but I believe that um, a, a good artist always, an artist always they can make uh, they can channelize their problems, once, and nothing is complete in a way. For an artist, nothing is a complete answer. They always leave something behind, something to learn from, something to get in. So, yeah.
Wow. I think this is one of the most abstract yet beautiful answers I've received for my mental first aid box question. Because you've made the question so complete in itself that it doesn't beckon an answer anymore. So
Oh,
I'm going to take this.
too many things in that box. No, nowadays you have a lot of capsules and medicines. You get it. So don't pick up anything and everything. I would say that, just leave it there. Let's find it on time.
True.
Yeah.
So now I leave the floor open to you. As we near the end of the podcast, is there any question that you would like to ask me as a psychologist?
I think, as a psychologist, what would you give an advice to an artist, or not necessarily an artist, and a person who is going through difficult times?
I think one of my favorite lines that I have learned during my practice is name it to tame it. Unless we are able to name our malady, we are unable to control it. So, if there is a phase that you're going through, if there is an emotional turmoil that you're going through, it's very important to take our proverbial 10 steps back, see it for what it is, and give it a name. This could be with the help of a doctor, it could be with the friend, it could be with the help of a mental health professional. But unless you know what is happening to you, it's very difficult to deal with it.
Hmm.
So always try and understand what it is and then see what kind of treatment or help or intervention you need.
Right. So thank you so much, and definitely you should travel around and see the art world.
I
The
would
world
love to.
itself is
I would love
lots
to.
of art.
So there is a beautiful analogy in medicine,
Hmm.
which now comes to mind with your understanding of art. So people say that if a patient is very sick, they will not let him be on bed rest very long. He's too sick to be bedridden. He must walk.
Yeah.
Similarly, it's too important to be obsessed about. Like you said, if you are close to something or someone, don't be obsessive because then that become your shackles.
Yeah.
And you cannot let anything shackle you down. You cannot let anything tie you down. This is the most amazing way I have heard anybody describe art because for me, till now, art was always about being obsessed, about being completely into the process. But the minute you take a step back, you've just opened so many avenues for yourself, for other artists, for other connoisseurs of art, that it's okay to love something, but don't let that become your, like the shackles that hold you back. So thank you for that thought. Thank you for so many names that you have shared with us. I'm sure a lot of people will go back to this podcast and at peace look up these names, find out where they want to go, start their art journey. I'm sure you started a lot of art journeys in the last 30 minutes. It's amazing for what you're doing, for this field. It's such a niche field, but such a beautiful field. So thank you for enriching our lives with this. And thank you so much for being on Detangle with me today.
Thank you, Dr. Kinjal. Have a great day.
You too, sir.